Many people think that to make something taste great, chefs just add a load of butter. The reality is, butter is one of the most versatile ingredients in our kitchens. Today I'm going to show you the 5 different ways we use butter. You often see on recipes add in a specific weight of cold butter, but always wonder, why is cold butter important? Like, what difference does it make if the butter's cold or hot? And I'm going to show you where it's critical that you use fridge cold butter rather than using room temperature butter. We're going to make a beurre blanc. So shallot into a pan, and then equal parts wine and a good quality vinegar. So reduce this right down until it's syrupy before we add our cold butter. Okay, so our shallot reduction is nice and syrupy. The temperature of the butter basically helps to stabilize the sauce and make sure that all of that butter is properly and gradually incorporated into the sauce. So if you put warm butter in here, what you would probably get is you would get a thinner emulsion, and it would be much more likely to split. Really, really simple rule when you're emulsifying is get something really hot and get something really cold to emulsify in. Doesn't start to get too thick as well, you can just let it down with a little bit more acidity. Lemon juice works really well. A couple of capers, touch more lemon juice. As you can see, we've got this really nicely emulsified beurre blanc. Perfect little sauce for a fish. Colder butter emulsifies slower and controls the dispersal of all of the protein, the lecithins, all of the fat, and all of the liquid that you're emulsifying into. Most common way that we use butter in the restaurant in its softened state is to make a really nice compound butter. Essentially what a compound butter is a multiple myriad of suspended ingredients within that fat. So the more malleable it is, the more easy it is to suspend those ingredients in there. So we're going to go in there with a little bit of cayenne, a little bit of Madras curry powder, some capers, some anchovies, Dijon, 1 Brunoise shallot, roughly chopped chives, some lemon zest. It's actually a very classic French sauce, sort of known for those in those sort of grand Parisian steakhouses. Got 30 seconds for this to come together as a little sauce. Okay, so what we can see here is this beautiful consistency, and it's because of the temperature of the butter that we can easily suspend small ingredients inside it, and then also on service it will melt much quicker onto our steak or whatever we serve this with. Alright, so just whack a bit of beef sauce down there, steak goes on, and then we've got this awesome room temperature suspended butter, a couple of cheeky crispy curry leaves on there. Happy days, look at that, banging. Woo! Have a little go making compound butters. Super easy. All you need to remember, nice soft butter. All of the ingredients will be emulsified into it really nicely. Bosh. Okay, so quite often a recipe also calls for clarified butter. And clarified butter is really simple. What we want to do is, if you think about 80% of that butter is fat, and then you've got 20% which is made up of milk solids and water. All we're going to do when we clarify butter is remove the fat, separate it out from the liquid below. The main reason that we use clarified butter is for confying things. And making clarified butter is really, really simple. You heat up your butter, you can take off any of these milk solids that rise to the top. All I would do at this stage is turn that off. Any loose milk or any loose dairy will sink to the bottom, and then you very simply just strain off the fat and you have clarified butter, which you can use to cook with. So clarified butter is also used in lots of other different cuisines. So primarily in India, they use it. And clarified butter is basically used as a way to preserve the life of something. Very simply, to confit any vegetables, prep them down. Sometimes it helps just to prick them slightly so the fat can sort of penetrate nicely. Confying, ideally, you don't want to take the butter any higher than 120 degrees. And it's going to very, very gently cook the ingredient whilst protecting it from getting overcooked, dry, and all the juices escaping. And then you'll see what you're left with at the bottom, the base of the pan, all the residual milk. Confying primarily was started as a way of preserving things. You can use this clarified butter over and over again. Place a little cartouche on these spuds, that'll help them keep them pressed down whilst they cook. And then into the oven about 120 degrees for around about 45 minutes. This works with literally any vegetable. You can do this with carrots, parsnips, anything where you want to intensify the flavour of something and break it down and make it really soft. This is a perfect technique for that. Confit is probably one of my favourite techniques for salmon. It's on about 85 degrees, it's not too hot, and this is going to be the most gentle way to cook a delicate fish like salmon. whilst it's suspended in there, if you can imagine all those oils and natural juices inside that fish, they're not going out of there, they're staying inside the salmon, and you get an ultimately beautiful, delicate, juicy, very, very soft consistency. The other thing that people use clarified butter for very commonly is frying. So if you imagine there's no milk solids in there, and butter's got a fairly low smoking point in its natural form, but as soon as you remove the milk solids out of it, it's a different story. I always find you get a much more golden colour when you're using clarified butter to fry things. Okay, so our salmon is literally just cooked, very, very delicate because of how it's been cooked. It's comfy, so all you have to do is literally just press it. This is not to cook it, this is literally just to get an epic flavour on it. Once it comes off the grill, just whack on a little bit more clarified butter onto our plate. Seaweed beurre blanc, some fried potatoes, good hit of chives, and there we go, a little bit of olive oil to finish. Confit salmon with a beautiful, soft confit potato, ultra crispy, ultra golden. Perfect use for clarified butter. We removed those milk solids earlier, but what we're going to do here is we're going to completely leave them. What they'll do, as the butter heats up, the milk solids, any loose liquid will sink to the bottom. That will caramelise, and the Maillard reaction will take place, and the flavour of caramelising milk solids is what gives beurre noisette its character nutty flavour. Once it's gone past clarified butter, you're looking at a temperature range of about 130 to 140 to get that golden, beautiful golden brown, and you can take it too far. Okay, so what we've got here is the butter's now melted. It's so hot that it's not suspending any of the solids, milk solids anymore, and they've sank to the bottom. And effectively what we're going to have now, a little bit of foaming as the water evaporates out of the butter, and then the browning happens. You're looking for a light brown colour with a beautiful, nutty, sort of rich smell as well. And as it foams, that's when you can tell that the browning process is basically occurring. And we've got this almost like golden syrup colour at the moment. And the trick with nut butter is don't take it too far because it will continue to cook. So there we go, I'm going to take this off now. And I'm going to leave some of those milk solids in because they actually give a beautiful flavour. Okay, so this is lightly chilled down now. The sort of foam that was on the top has settled and it's all gone. It smells like nutty, fragrant, a little bit aromatic. And then at the bottom, you see this like nectar of caramelised milk solid. Although there's lots of savoury applications for nut butter, you can make dressings out of this. One of my favourite things to do is to bake with it. You use this to make a hazelnut biscuit. You get the most ridiculous nutty flavour. So chopped hazelnuts, good pinch of salt, and this is just this very simple sablé recipe, but we're going to use some cooled brown butter to bring the dough together. Nice. And then to bake, place your hazelnut sablé on a lined tray, into the oven, 160 for around about 12 minutes. So there we have it. Just let it cool slightly. Serve that brown butter twirl with a big hunk of brown butter ice cream. A bit of Italian meringue. Just lick it with a blowtorch. Sablé goes on. Tiny bit of brown butter caramel as well. It's basically a brown butter and a hazelnut s'more. Sexy as fuck. And finally, the last stage of butter, black butter. It's basically effectively you've taken your beurre noisette that step further. Keep the butter solids from touching the base of the pan too much because they will burn really aggressively whilst the butter doesn't come to temperature properly. But you can see the colour now. That's at that sort of noisette stage, and it gets this really robust smell now. It starts to just go past that sweet nuttiness. It starts to taste a bit smoky. You actually want to take it off now because it can continue to caramelize and get darker. So you want this like almost jet black, very, very dark brown. It's starting to smoke a little bit. That means it's going to be roughly on about 190 degrees. Just pour that out over a bowl of ice to bring it down nice and quickly. What we want to do is just leave any of the really, really acrid black sediment right at the bottom. So that's kind of what we don't want in there. And then we're going to add our aromats as the butter's cooled down. Otherwise, if you add them now, it'll scorch them all. All of these ingredients can go into this butter now that it's cooled down slightly. Some capers, shallot, cornichons, anchovy for seasoning. Add in the rest of your ingredients, so your lemon zest and your parsley. We can add in now a good splash of vinegar. And there you go, this is one of my favourite sauces. It'll be really, really beautiful with a piece of fish. So just cook this stone bass, pumpkin puree into the bowl, and then just liberally lay on your Admiral sauce. That brown butter is just going to make a really beautiful smoky dressing with the lemon juice. It'll work really well with the fish. Beautiful little stone bass there. Admiral sauce with a little pumpkin puree. Super, super smoky. Very caramelized. Adds a really nice layer of depth. And then all those little acidic gubbins just make it, just to be honest, lift it and make it a lot lighter.